So how did you spend New Year's Eve this year? How did you mark the official end of 2014 and the arrival of 2015? My house was mostly quiet. We watched some televised reports from Times Square, and I marveled, as I do each year, at the spirit of those who are willing to crowd in the cold with thousands of others for up to 12 hours to witness a lighted ball dropping and being showered in giant-sized confetti. I appreciate the spirit of the folks who show up to celebrate the changing of the calendar, even if I doubt I would ever be one of them myself. Up to 12 hours standing in the cold, waiting for midnight, that's a lot of time to think, a lot of time to reflect, a lot of time to not have access to a bathroom, right? I suppose I might go to the trouble of being in a place like Times Square on December 31st if I had endured a particularly challenging year, and I wanted to join my voice with others to shout the past away and to cheer the possibility of new beginnings to come. Knowing some of your stories from this year, especially stories of your loved ones navigating health challenges, stories of significant goodbyes, unwelcomed transitions, stories of ever-present unknowns that continue to haunt your days and your nights. I'm guessing that some of you were there in spirit on New Year's Eve, standing in the cold of your past or your present, ready to shout so long at last to 2014. I also know some of the stories that many of you joyfully carry with you in 2015 of surprising discoveries, new life, risks taken that brought unexpected rewards, new love that you couldn't have predicted 12 months ago. Maybe you and your stories were there in spirit on New Year's Eve as well, as you celebrated your good fortune, or at least the resolution of things you might not have even known needed to be resolved just a few months ago. This life we share, it can be quite the ride, that's for sure. Sluggish in its repetition and its banality one moment, and almost dizzying in its surprises the next. And all the while, even when things seem mundane and totally predictable, there are still thresholds to cross, choices to consider, decisions to be made, moments to ask, as the boy in our story did today, when is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? What is the right thing to do? So much of our lives are lived in uncertainty, in a lack of assurance that the choices that we make are the ones that will take us where we most need to go. Sometimes we think we know, and sometimes we're right. But then there are times when we have little direction to offer ourselves other than more questions. Even when the meaning of our life stories may seem obvious to others, we may be unable to comprehend the meaning ourselves, at least not until enough time has passed so that our perspectives can expand to allow for more understandings and acceptance. For example, thinking of the story of the three questions, even when the boy was doing the very things that the wise turtle later explained to him were right and important, at least to her, things like attending to the present moment, being helpful to the people closest to him, the boy was still disappointed, in search of answers. I can really relate to that. Sometimes I seem to want to make things more difficult than they are. I want to know that I know what I'm doing and that I am doing it for the right reasons, in the right way, even if I can't possibly know that for sure. I don't know about you, but this exhausts me, this yearning for certainty when certainty is not within my grasp. Speaking of yearning for direction and certainty, I've been asking my friends to tell me about their resolutions for the new year. And mostly when I ask, they just laugh. They either make a joke about something that doesn't really matter to them, or they flat out tell me they don't bother with resolutions because they never keep them anyway. Well, I too have rarely made resolutions, and even more rarely have I made resolutions that have stuck. And I think that's why I was drawn to a Facebook post on New Year's Day from a friend of mine named Danielle. She proclaimed that this year she would not be making resolutions filled, she says, with endless to-do lists that invite us into competition. She would instead offer declarations that call us into our future and liberate us from our own worst critics, ourselves. Danielle says that she declares in 2015 that it will be a year of profound love and connection for everyone, a year of bold, courageous leadership and partnership with humanity, a year of making a difference that makes a difference. She says, may the glass be full of possibilities, not half empty or half full, and that box that we all strive to get in and out of, may it simply disappear. Another friend named Lisa shared something similar, though she did label hers a resolution. She said, for 2015, I resolve with abandon and joy and gratitude, even on the bad days and the mad days and the sad days. I resolve to be me, and I invite you to do the same. Only you be you. I've got me covered. I read in Lisa's resolution to be herself and her encouragement to us all to do the same. I hear in that the same message offered in a short poem by Anne Hillman that gets shared a lot in January during this time of looking back and looking forward. Hillman's words speak to the yearning that many of us have for a more open and accepting way to approach the emerging truth of our often unwieldy lives, especially at the threshold of a new year. She writes, we look with uncertainty beyond the old choices for clear-cut answers. We look beyond the old choices for clear-cut answers to a softer, more permeable aliveness, which is every moment at the brink of death. For something new is being born in us if we but let it. We stand at a new doorway, awaiting that which comes, daring to be human creatures, vulnerable to the beauty of existence, learning to love. One of my favorite thinkers and writers, Parker Palmer, shared Hillman's words in a New Year's Eve blog before declaring that he too would be foregoing resolutions this year. He said he will focus on questions instead. Questions that he finds emerging from Hillman's invitation to a softer, more permeable aliveness, out of which something new is being born in us if we but let it. I think any of these questions could be excellent fodder for meditation, for reflection for any of us. His questions are, how can I let go of my need for fixed answers in favor of aliveness? What is my next challenge in daring to be human? How can I open myself to the beauty of nature and human nature? Who or what do I need to learn to love next? What is the new creation that wants to be born in and through me? As we consider this month in our services and in our Soul Matters groups what it means to be a people of integrity, Palmer's questions speak to me. They speak of integrity. They don't promise answers. They seem to beg more questions. They offer invitations to us to take life as it is, the whole of it, the good and the not so good, and still seek the openness and new creation that awaits us as we dare to be vulnerable to the beauty of existence and learning once again to love. I'm beginning to understand that this kind of daring to be vulnerable as we learn to love is what integrity and threshold crossing are really all about. So I wonder, what do you want to open yourself up to in the days ahead? What search for clear-cut answers are you willing to abandon in exchange for the something new that could be born within you if you but let it? As has become our custom this first Sunday of each new year, we're going to take some time now to share in a meditative activity. It's a time to consider with compassion the year just past as well as the challenges, the opportunities each of us may be facing as we, in our ways, dare to be human in the days to come. This ritual is less about resolutions and absolutes and predicting what will be as if we could. It's more about paying attention to what it means to live in a world, in a life, in a body, in a human family that is in constant change. May this ritual that we share be an invitation to us to pay attention to the thresholds of our lives more often, the places of change, the places of decision, the places of choice, and to experience the crossing of these thresholds with the reverence and care that our lives deserve, in good times and in bad. To begin our ritual, I want you to take out the page you should have received with your order of service. If you need one, you're going to want to raise your hand. You also should have a crayon or something to write with. And if you need one of those, please raise your hand. We have ushers that are ready to help you. There's a crayon needed down here. Looks like there needs some supplies. Just keep your hand raised until you get what you need. Everybody have your supplies? I invite you to put your paper down on your lap for a moment and your crayon and join me in a spirit of meditation. You can close your eyes if you want. Just inviting you to settle into this time, the threshold that is this present moment, and your place among your companions on the journey, all of us who are here in body or spirit this day. And feel your breath going in and out the door of your body. How is it that you want to live this year? What declarations are you ready to make? Who are you needing to learn to love next? What words or images describe the spirit with which you hope to engage with those around you? With yourself? With this world of uncertainty and constant change? As you are moved to do so, I invite you to write down or draw whatever words or pictures or images that are speaking to you on the threshold of this new year. You can use this page you've been given any way you want. You don't even have to use the door sign if you don't want to. You turn it over and use the plain side on the back. It's your tool. These are not going to be collected. This is just for you. They're yours to keep, so feel free to make them as personal as you'd like. And if you choose to write, don't worry about capturing everything. I'm going to give you some silence to create upon these empty pages a vision, maybe, that you can carry with you into another new year. Let's be silent for a time as we craft our vision. So we have a door down front. Perhaps you've noticed it. It's a symbolic representation of the thresholds each of us will cross as we continue to say goodbye to the year that was and open to the year that will be. It was lovingly painted by youth who attended a conference here last month. In a moment, I will invite those who wish to participate to come forward. And we're going to do it backwards, how we often do these kinds of rituals in the church. We're going to go this way since the door is down here. So you'll exit your row towards the wall here and come down to enter through the door. And I invite you to bring your door pages with you. We'll start from the front of the auditorium and move our way back. As you come to your turn to cross the threshold, I ask you to pause at the door before you enter through, to pause long enough to look at what you have envisioned for the year ahead, and to consider what you're opening yourself to. And then with intention, you can cross the threshold into the next present moment, the only moment we have to make our imaginings become our truth. And as you leave this place today, I invite you to keep your page, maybe put it somewhere at home or where you're going to see it often, maybe at work. Or perhaps you could just put it away for a time and come back to it when you want to be reminded of where you were as you entered this new year. Not everybody has to come forward to participate in this crossing of a symbolic threshold. In our church, passing is always an option. But I hope, even if you're new, you'll feel welcome to participate in this ritual with us. If physical limitations are keeping you from participating, maybe you can give your page to a neighbor who will cross the threshold on your behalf, or you can choose a different, more accessible symbolic threshold to cross later today. I ask that we share this ritual with intention and with respectful silence, except for the music that will be played. And I invite you to use the time when you're not crossing the threshold to perhaps meditate on all that you're opening yourself to in the year to come, and to appreciate the humanity of your neighbors doing the same. Before we begin, Amy's going to share with us, as a blessing, the words of Jan Richardson.